If it's okay, I'd like to tell you a story. But first, I need coffee. Real coffee. Arabica beans, single origin, grown no lower than 4,000 feet. Freshly ground, spring water just off the boil and brewed through a French press. I'm meticulous about my life as I am about my coffee, which is why this story is so unbelievable. Essentially, it's about a girl. But first, I should share a little bit about me. I'm telling my story from the mountains of Wyoming, where my cabin is surrounded by 100 square miles of unspoiled wilderness. I have a PhD in biochemistry. I'm a well-respected researcher for a lab back in town, but I prefer the solitude of the forest. I mean, I have the highest IQ of any of my colleagues, and I'll confess, humanity and I just don't get each other. We deforest, we pollute, we hurt each other, we hurt the earth. If we don't change our ways, Mother Nature will flick us off the planet like a tick off a deer. Sorry, I get carried away when I don't have my coffee. That's better. Anyway, all right, the girl I mentioned. We met in a rather unusual way. So, one early spring day, there was a terrible lightning storm. It's normal for this part of Wyoming and this time of year. I knew the cabin would be fine. It's only 10 years old. We built it sturdy. But I was worried about my large old oak tree just down the ridge. The storm cleared by morning, and I saw my oak was fine. I also saw her making her way towards my cabin. How did she get all the way out here? My cabin is a good 2 hours from the closest town. Well, she looked innocent enough, and I had plenty of coffee. Turns out she preferred wine. She said she was a nature writer, but wouldn't tell me her name. I had a plan, and the wine helped to get the conversation going. I still wanted to know why she was in my woods, and I could see there was something mysterious about her eyes.
He seems harmless. Hell, he's even a little cute. He has no idea I'm flirting with him. Is it wrong that I invited myself to stay for a while? I'm getting tired of running from my past.
So, I messaged my best friend from work, Gordon. Well, I call him Bear. I told him I had a female house guest who wandered in from the forest. Bear didn't believe me, so I told him to come see for himself. He hadn't been out here in years. My writer friend had disappeared again, so we went for a bit of a trek. Bear realized how much he missed hiking through the woods. Me, not so much. It took a minute, but we found her, tapped into the old oak.
This is the part where I tell you I can talk to trees. Or rather, they talk to me. If I release my mind, they can show me stories. But if I'm under too long, memories from my past invade my mind.
And that's how Bear met my writer friend. Not awkward at all. Bear was suspicious. He was convinced she was a columnist he'd been telling me about in the paper for months. The columnist apparently signed off as the writer. That's it. Again, I don't get humanity. And it's all stories from the past, not my cup of coffee anyway. They'd requested Bear and I for our high-priority classified briefing. Bear and I work with a top-notch team of researchers, solving humanity's problems for them. But this meeting was just for the two of us. We took our usual seats. A striking woman with white hair was seated opposite us. Her henchmen were intense, to say the least. We nicknamed her the Queen Bee. This was her show, and this was her proposal. She was offering us our dream jobs, unlimited funds for whatever research we wanted, all top secret. We report only to her. There had to be a catch. She wanted our answer immediately, no questions. I mean, what could we do? I could tell Bear was just as perplexed as I was, but we signed anyway. What choice did we have? I wondered how the team was going to take it. What they lack in research skills, they make up for in eavesdropping.
Oh yeah, the weather. I mean, the sun.
We wrapped up our work affairs. Bear said goodbyes for both of us, and we returned to the cabin. I was eager to tell my writer friend about our suspiciously generous offer.
Other trees have shared their stories, but this old oak is special. The first time I connected with it, it showed me the young couple who settled this land a long time ago. Their names were Abe and Martha. They had built their cabin near the old oak. They were young and very much in love. One day, a man came over the trail. Abe called him Mr. Parker. Mr. Parker wanted Abe to sell his land. Abe would not. Mr. Parker flew into a rage. He told Abe he would be another notch on his gun.
You stupid son of a bitch!
Abe had told Martha to hide, but when she heard Mr. Parker counting,
1,
she had no choice.
2.
Martha's aim was true. They saw Mr. Parker's gun, 13 notches in the handle. Abe narrowly avoided being the 14th. Martha insisted they give Mr. Parker a proper burial. Abe obliged. They had disposed of Mr. Parker's body, but they kept his saddlebags. Neither of them had supper that night. Martha's curiosity was much stronger than her appetite. As daylight faded, they opened the saddlebags of the man who killed so many. What they found was more troubling than they ever could have imagined. It was their problem now. Abe and Martha waited and plotted 4 seasons before they took action. At last, Abe made the week-long journey into town for some very overdue business. Abe was tense. It seemed as though everyone's gaze was turned on him. He was an outsider. Abe wasn't fond of town life, and the burden he now carried made it much worse. Abe made his way to the land office to meet with the banker. The banker didn't think much of Abe at first. But Abe revealed what he and Martha found in those saddlebags. The banker was stunned into silence. Abe did not sleep well that night. He was worried the townspeople would find out about his riches and question where it all came from. Abe missed his dear Martha, and the bad food wasn't helping. He got the feeling that everyone in the room was talking about him. The pressure was growing. He imagined everyone whispering, accusing. The sheriff and deputy caught Abe's eye. Were they onto him? Abe had one final task before heading home. He and Martha had decided to use their new riches to hire 2 ranch hands. Abe passed over the more brawny, older men and chose 2 youngsters, knowing the more a man lives, the more secrets he has.
How did she know? Abe and Martha are the names of my great-great-grandparents. It reminded me of the first time I saw that gun. When we were kids, my older cousin James and I used to explore the woods. We used to pretend it was our secret fort. One day, James told me he found something cool in the cave, and he pushed me to check it out. It was the gun, the one with the notches. He had tied the gun to a fake skeleton, but it totally didn't scare me. Bear and I went to find our writer friend to get some answers, but before we could talk, we were overwhelmed by the unmistakable sound of an approaching helicopter. What's the queen bee doing out here? Did I fill my paperwork out wrong? Why are they hugging? Okay, so I formulated my hypothesis. 1, my writer friend talks to trees. 2, the oak told her how my great-great-grandparents got this land. And 3, she's the daughter of the queen bee. Yeah. So, I met a girl, and everything's about to change.
I feel bad. Kind of. My new friends might be overwhelmed, but I've got a lot more explaining to do. I hope they can handle it.